I invite you to join me today. Conduct a comprehensive exploration of Gargantua, real estate in the vast star system, from the turbulent waters of planet Miller greetings to the frigid expanse of planet Mann to the harsh landscape of Edmunds. We will examine the planets shown in the film. What is its connection to the celestial bodies in our known universe? Analogies assess their habitability. Let us first examine Gargantua. Gargantua is the distance from Earth, approximately 10 billion light-years distant. Its mass is 100 million solar masses. Gargantua is similar to other black holes we have identified. It possesses rotating characteristics. It rotates rapidly due to its significant level of agitation. It additionally extracts gas and dust from its western polar disk. This is the planet Gargantua shown in the film. Planet Miller and Mann Miller Planet. It is an aqueous realm enveloped by an expansive ocean. The tidal waves attain a height of 1,200 meters. It is orbiting in close proximity to Gargantua, nearly at the limit of terrestrial perception. However, in proximity to the black hole surroundings, is it truly capable of sustaining life? Is the presence of a black hole at this distance truly plausible? Indeed, certain researchers contend that it is feasible. They conjecture alleged black hole worlds, celestial bodies revolving around stars. It is not much dissimilar. They are not within the constellations created in astrolabes. However, within the sparse basic disk of the black hole, dust particles are obscuring the ice. They impact and coalesce. The ultimate quality is elevated to sufficient to possess its own gravitational pull. It draws additional material, progressively developing solid planets. Should planets orbiting black holes exist, what will the characteristics of their spatial environment be? Primarily, black holes generate substantial radiation, primarily from heated aggressive gases. The potency of a black hole attack is immense. Then fusion generates orders of magnitude greater energy. Put forth by scholarly articles, planets within black holes, such as Miller's Planet, potentially a blackbody, at 6,000 degrees the radiation field is entirely encircled. Nonetheless, recipients of the Nobel Prize physicist Kip Thorne acted as a scientific consultant for the film. His discipline of interplanetary travel, artistic descent. He asserts that the western base plate temperature of Gargantua, commensurate with the solar surface, radiates substantial illumination. However, there are nearly no X-rays or gamma rays. He additionally noted that the western disk is exceedingly slender, and exclusively along the equatorial plane of Gargantua. This constitutes the western disk. Could have truly existed in the past, surrounding a black hole that has not consumed a star in millions of years. Therefore, the film remains grounded in reality at this juncture. Miller Planet. What is the nature of the environment surrounding a colossal black hole? What pertains to sustaining a stable orbit? Similar to celestial bodies revolving around the sun, the Miller Planet possesses its own motion. Provided he possesses sufficient speed, has evaded the gravitational pull of the sun, he will soar directly above it. Nevertheless, if he is very slow, will be entirely drawn in by the gravitational pull of the sun. The same applies to Gargantua. To sustain a steady orbit, planet Miller must be orbiting at a sufficient velocity to evade the compelling allure of Kagan's graffiti. However, it is insufficiently rapid to achieve immediate escape from orbit. While it appears nearly unattainable, Kip Thorne posits a potential equilibrium. Currently, the planet's centrifugal force and a subtle equilibrium of internal attractive forces. Nevertheless, the fundamental issue lies not in the trajectories of stars. It resides in its composition. Proximate to a black hole, can little objects aggregate? In 2019, a planet was formed. Scientists demonstrate that this is indeed feasible. However, the concept is that the movement must occur within the attack plate. In his book, Kip Thorne concurs. This perspective additionally asserts that if planet Miller exists beyond West Kipan, virtually unfeasible. Nevertheless, this presents a challenge for the picture. Due to the film, we observe the trajectory of planet Miller lies beyond the West Kipan. In accordance with the laws of physics, he is clearly in the incorrect location. However, at times, to achieve a more visually impactful image effect, artistic creation should supersede scientific implementation. A peculiar phenomenon associated with black holes, it is time dilation. In the film, the passage of time on planet Miller is 60,000 times slower than that on Earth. Considering the coordinates of planet Miller, is time dilation genuinely significant? During the research for this video, I encountered an alternative perspective. Some individuals believe it is feasible, others refute it. Consider the phenomenon of time dilation. Only upon entering the interior of the tin chassis proximal to the black hole, based on Kip Thorne's study, to achieve this extent of time dilation, Gargantua must revolve at a speed less than the maximum allowable velocity, rotate at a speed of 1:1 highly improbable. However, it is not technically infeasible. Discussion of Miller Planet is prohibited. Moreover, his waves, owing to proximity to Gargantua, he experienced an enticing force. Kip Thorne heresy. This is likely to position Miller's planet at its equator, in the form of a football significant expansion in both the direction of and opposed to the black hole. He additionally conjectured proximal to a black hole planet Miller is expected to be tidally locked overnight. I am uncertain regarding the distinction between day and night. How to maintain a locked planet as a water body? The world must consist of a hemisphere that is frozen. The remaining portion will be really warm. However, if we persist with the prior assumption, Miller Planet is believed to be situated in Kagan, core region of Puyasiki. The heat will not be in a state of emergency. Regarding water, let us discuss the significant waves on Miller's planet. The film seeks to persuade us in the presence of such intense tidal forces will result in the emergence of enormous tidal surges similar to those depicted on the screen. They can be likened to tidal waves on Earth. However, on a somewhat greater scale tidal phenomena, on Earth the waves are influenced by the gravitational influences of the Sun and Moon. However, on planet Miller it is excessively amplified. Kip Thorne himself acknowledged the sole method to render these equations functional. It is planet Gene Miller. Reciprocal exchanges concerning Gargantua, however, that would necessitate a very proximate third object. Similar to another large planet, to preserve the eccentricity of its orbit, he proposed a further theory that tidal forces distort a planet's crust, generating a massive tsunami. However, it still depends on a certain type of force to operate. Planetary oscillation. The most analogous substance to Miller's planet may be wood. Satellite of the celestial body, Europa resembles planet Miller. Europa possesses an eccentric orbit. This orbit consists of the gravitational influence of other Galilean moons. This type of orbit consistently fractures its crust and produces tides in its underlying ocean, resulting in the continuous expansion and contraction of its surface. Generally, planet Miller appears entirely uninhabitable. The Miley Howe mission team also uncovered this. The film is precise on this aspect. Consequently, our protagonists proceed to their subsequent location. The subsequent planet that Miley Howe explored, it is planet Mann. It is a severe, frigid environment. Additionally, traversing the card gang graffiti, however, not as proximate as Miller's world. Time dilation is not referenced. However, this planet possesses additional distinctive characteristics, render him equally captivating as robust as the film's development. Dr. Mann fabricated the data, facilitate his planets appear more conducive to habitation than they actually are. To entice forthcoming expeditions, assist him, he asserted the presence of a solid surface, respirable atmosphere, and organic substances. However, none of these were discovered. Conversely, the entire planet appears to be an icy realm. From a substantial iceberg, caverns and fissures, encircled by vast expanses of desolation, ice crystals hanging in the stratosphere. To elevate these frozen clouds, they must possess a lower density than the atmosphere. The visual impression is startling. However, I harbor skepticism. Gypsoan conjectures these cumuli predominantly solidified carbon dioxide. Its density corresponds to the Earth's atmospheric pressure, 1.55 grams per cubic centimeter, and its opulent ambience, the density is approximately 0.00077 grams per cubic centimeter. It is nearly impossible for dry ice to remain suspended within it, except if atmospheric pressure on the planet Mann and Earth. There exists a significant disparity in atmospheric pressure. These densities have undergone significant alterations. Regardless, the film fails to elucidate this comprehensively. For the sake of argument, this serves to emphasize planet Miller vision with planet Mann divergences in artistic creation. It is conjectured that these frozen clouds will undergo sublimation. Recurring freezing evaporation is the process of freezing, likely because to the fact that the planet Mann revolves around Kagan. To us partial, the phenomena is caused by hard orbits, unconventional variety of track, causing stars to oscillate as they approach and recede from the black hole thermal regulation nevertheless. Such eccentric orbits will progressively attain a rounded shape over time unless a third celestial entity is exerting gravitational influence on him. Preserve its uniqueness. Nolan, within Mann, a significant quantity of planets has been incorporated into the representation. Creative vision, consequently, extremely. It is challenging to draw comparisons between him and any being within the known cosmos. Celestial entities are juxtaposed. At present, no ammonia gas has been detected. Exoplanets possessing substantial atmospheres nevertheless. We discovered a significant amount of ice. Glaciated exoplanet, an ice sheet, is located 21,500 light-years from Earth. Super-Earth. It is among the coldest extraterrestrial planets. Temperatures reaching as low as -220 degrees Celsius, similar to planet Mann. He is likewise unsuitable for human habitation. Let us focus on the planet Edmunds. Upon departing from the planet Mann, Coop and Brand lack sufficient fuel. Travel a light-year distance, the planet Edmunds orbits the massive star. To conserve fuel, Cooperative opted to utilize the gravitational slingshot mechanism to circumvent Kagan. To a black hole, however, this incurs a time dilation of 51 years. Ultimately, Cooper diminished the burden of his endurance. Self-sacrifice facilitate Brand's seamless arrival on the planet Edmunds. It pertains to the science of interstellar travel. Miley, how orbiting the planet Miller, achieved 1/3 the velocity of light, given the current pace, reaching the planet Edmunds only merely 3 years. What about Brand? Decelerating into the orbit of the planet Edmunds, however, it is not depicted in depth in the film. Of potential resolution, the formula involves utilizing the attracting force slingshot once more. The effect circumvents an additional black hole. This process is not referenced in the film. The planet Edmunds features clouds, terrestrial planets possessing livable atmospheres. Hereafter, we hypothesize it may also possess surface, water sources, and generate oxygen. Biological origins of gas. This may be attributed to soil microbes. Conclusion of video presentation. Humans established a colony on the planet Edmunds, indicating that this climate is conducive to life on Earth. Egypt, the planet demands exhibits numerous resemblances to Earth. Comparable attractive force, oxygenated atmosphere, arable soil, and potentially liquid water. It appears not to be tidally locked as well. A subset of Star Trek enthusiasts, planet Edmunds in relation to primordial Mars retained oceans during that period. At the conclusion of the film, planet Edmunds presented as an appropriate human habitat. Feasible alternatives for the populace provided that we prioritize the development of the hibernation pod, initially locate nearby impulses. Thus, our interstellar expedition concludes. Therefore, which planet is most conducive to human colonization? As was said, planet Edmunds appears to be the sole feasible alternative despite our absence from the film encountered excessive related material. However, I believe that if it is excessively potent, the film may not be exceptional. In summary, the film endeavors to sustain. We achieved a commendable level of scientific precision. To improve the narrative, it requires a degree of creative latitude. However, that is precisely what we opt to view in science fiction films. Instead of the rationale for the scientific lesson, the strength of science fiction films resides in it has the potential to inspire our aspirations. Although we are distant from colonization, other terrestrial planets remain distant. Interstellar, however, it motivates us to sustain this yearning for the unfamiliar. Possibly in a remote galaxy, another someone is observing us. Replete with longing film, are the scientific calculations on interstellar travel precise? What is the velocity of the spacecraft? What are his dimensions? In proximity to the black hole, in what ways has the progression of time altered? What is the interior of a wormhole like? This video we will examine the character's progression in the film, attempting to validate mathematically the precision of the various conceptions. Additionally, replicate certain visual effects from the film. It may be somewhat technical. However, there is no need for concern. Even without comprehending every computation, one can still derive insights from the overarching narrative. This narrative, the circumstances on Earth are critical. Food scarcity, the atmosphere was nearly suffocating and arid. The planet appears unsuitable for human habitation. In this cataclysmic tableau, ex-NASA pilot Cooper resides with 2 offspring. However, in the bedroom of daughter Murphy, an unusual occurrence transpired. Library Perth ultimately recognized these occurrences as gravitational anomalies and disclosed a route to NASA, the geographical coordinates of the clandestine facility, a seemingly enigmatic power attempting to guide them to this base. A wormhole exists in proximity to Saturn, to additional planets that may have relocated. NASA is poised to initiate a key mission, allow the astronauts to experience the urge. Explore 3 prospective urban exoplanets. Cooper, a former astronaut with NASA, currently recalled, participated in the expedition. The crew retired for rest upon takeoff. The spaceship will require 2 years to reach its destination. Proximal to Saturn is the current impulse justifiable. By contemplating the planet, the distance from Saturn to the asteroid established track, radius, the velocity of the spacecraft can be approximately assessed. Earth and Saturn are approximately 1.30 billion kilometers distant from each other. If the flight time is 2 years subsequently, the spacecraft, the mean velocity is approximately 70,000 kilometers per hour. For the purpose of comparison, the swiftest in history, Apollo 10, the velocity is approximately 40,000 kilometers per hour. Assume prospective star's technology surpasses our current capabilities. Reaching the neighborhood of Saturn within 2 years is plausible. To guarantee the crew's comfort throughout the voyage, the spaceship will utilize the centrifugal force to generate artificial gravity. Engineered as a revolving ring configuration, direct the crew to the outer arm in accordance with the formula. The backslash represents the ship's radius. Substituting the backslash with the backslash denotes the spacecraft's rotation period. In the film, it can be quantified. The spacecraft's half-cycle duration is 5.7 seconds. The overall duration is around 11.4 seconds. Unproduced originated concurrently with the Earth. 9.8 meters per second squared of gravitational acceleration. The spacecraft's radius should approximate 30 meters. It has a diameter of around 60 meters. This dimension is quite realistic. The radius of the International Space Station is approximately 70 meters. When the spaceship traverses the impulse near Saturn, awakened the crew, and noted for the inaugural instance, this channel distorts space. A wormhole is a conduit linking 2 areas of the universe. The surface possesses 3 dimensions. The crew and light can traverse it. The image on the opposite side can likewise be transmitted back. Nevertheless, what is the realism of the wormhole portrayed in the film? Model and ascertain the solution. We commence with a sphere that links the 2 domains. Facilitate the transition to contact. Film director Nolan, the intended outcome. Choose a camera viewpoint. Within the worm, 2 views of the celestial sky are positioned on either side of the aperture. Facilitates direct light access to the camera. Alternatively, traverse the wormhole and thereafter arrive. We employ ray tracing. Light is transmitted through each pixel of the camera and delineate its trajectory. His celestial origin has been established. The hue that reaches the camera. This is, in fact, synonymous with employing the lateral ground equation. The equations of general relativity. By monitoring curved space-time trajectories, images can be obtained with bamboo pixels. When they are synergistically integrated, results of the simulation, remarkably akin to the visual effects in the film, we can attempt to modify the geometry of the wormhole. Investigate whether Nolan implemented an alternative design. What will the ultimate result resemble? For instance, extended wormholes permit light to traverse several times. Upon arrival, thus, you can observe the interstellar. Recurrent depictions of the cosmos subsequent to the spacecraft narrate how, traversing the wormhole, we are able to observe inside. Simulation exhibit images and visual effects in films group. Rephrased for enhanced audience comprehension, this simulation may generate intoxicating visuals upon the completion of this expedition's traversal through the wormhole in proximity to the supermassive black hole. Gargantua black holes are encircled by planets. The crew's initial objective is the Miller Planet. This planet is exceptionally unique. Fully submerged in water, it is orbiting in close proximity to the black hole. Impacted by the formidable tidal surges of Gargantua planetary hemisphere, substantially greater attracting force than the opposing side, resulting in its surface generating colossal waves, reaching heights of 1 kilometer, owing to its nearness to the black hole. Each hour on Earth, the Earth has undergone transformations over the previous 7 years. The temporal distortion and colossal waves affected Miller planets are notably enigmatic. Scientist Kipsoan indicated that the wave height exceeds 1 kilometer. we may attempt. Approximate the distance between a planet and a black hole. To generate waves of this nature, these waves consist of black holes. Tides resulting from gravitational forces occurrence the Moon's gravitational influence on Earth analogous, yet on a more expansive scale, while the waves seen in the film surpass the typical tidal more slender and elevated. However, we can still persevere. Tidal pressures and celestial orbits, the cumulative impact of the resultant centrifugal force. To elucidate this phenomena within the context of Newtonian physics, we can assess the experience of the tidal calendar. This authority to transfer seawater between low and high tides, each droplet of water through vertical displacement and saline net the mean profit margin acquire a specific quantity of energy. This illustrates the efficacy of a tidal calendar. Consequently, we deplete water resources. The attractive force must correspond to this energy. Contemplating a multitude of millions black hole of solar mass, if one is connected to the Earth, planets of comparable size revolve around him. The orbital distance of the planet should be 4.5 billion kilometers. To facilitate comparison with the Schwarzschild radius of the black hole, let us amplify this and conduct a comparison. Its diameter is around 300 million kilometers. In cinema, a representation of a planet named Melis, it revolves around a black hole named Gargantua, exhibits a pronounced occurrence of time dilation. Each hour corresponds to 7 years on Earth. This time dilation is approximately equivalent to that experienced around a static black hole. The duration experienced by a planet in a circular orbit decelerates by a factor of 60,000. Nevertheless, the orbital distance computed by orienting westward the command induces a time dilation of approximately 5%. It was markedly dissimilar to what is depicted in the film. To obtain 60,000 times the factor of time dilation, the planet must orbit above the photon sphere. This is the location where light can sustain its orbit. However, thus any orbit in proximity to a black hole would be exceedingly unstable. This computation is solely relevant to static black holes. Nonetheless, general relativity permits the rotation of black holes. Increase rotational velocity, the greater the probability it is close to its horizon. A stable orbit exists. This calculation is more complex. However, we can be certain if acceptable the star's orbit is 6,000 kilometers from the horizon. The black hole revolves at a velocity less than the speed of light. 1 in a trillion. This is remarkably swift. In theory, it is not unfeasible. The narrative of the film mirrors the actual physical circumstances. There exist distinctions. However, the visual effects of the black hole do induce extensively apprehensive. French physicist Gneeman, it was simulated as early as 1979. Nonetheless, in 2014 our inaugural visit to the movies observe a striking image of a black hole exhibiting shock absorption. This black hole is circling at a velocity approaching a generalized the allowable threshold of relativity, facilitates the tracing of the light's trajectory. Ascertain their origin. Black holes obstruct certain light. Consequently, the associated pixel is unable to receive light. This generates an image of the black hole. Gravitational force that alters the trajectory of light, it induces visual distortion. This enables us to observe the black hole shadow. Regarding static black hole, shadows are circular forms. However, in the rotating black hole, it seems to be compressed. The rotation of spacetime influences the trajectory of light. Gargantua in the film, a pole exists surrounding the black hole. The luminous plasma impacts the disk. Within the simulation image of a suction disk, deformed by the gravitational forces of a black hole, causes his back to appear contorted. The suction plate must be extremely heated. Will produce powerful radiation. The vessel was promptly obliterated. The temperature of the suction plate is reduced in the film. Reduce its thickness, reduced internal pressure. The accretion disk orbits the black hole at elevated velocities. Results in the Doppler effect. The illumination on one side is intensified. The opposite side is occupied. A bluish hue is observed on the western side. The opposite side is a deep crimson. Upon the return of the Interstellar mission to Earth, the professor refined the mathematical model, attempting to elucidate the enigma of attracting forces. This assignment assisted him in resolving a complicated equation. The objective is to ascertain the characteristics of attracting forces. Utilize this newfound information, construct an enormous spacecraft, dispatching humans into space to secure the future. At this juncture of the investigation, Professor Brand reaches a conclusion: consider distinct attracting forces. There exists a possibility of entities outside our cosmos. Causes, he suggested, the existence of our universe. It may constitute a component of a more extensive area. This expansive area possesses an additional dimension. Anomaly of attractive force, it may be attributed to a length that exists inside a more extensive area. In the film Interstellar, Professor Brand's blackboard is visible to us. It displays the specifications of the model. This world comprises three intellects. The current one, in which we exist, the one above, and the one underneath. These three brains exhibit a resemblance. The composition of a sandwich, the spatial configuration of the entire universe shapes are contorted into antidivine geometries. This geometric configuration, the construction, enables the measurement of the distance between the top and bottom. Excessive elongation hinders the escape of gravity. Within our universe, gravity disseminates in all directions. Dispersed throughout the sphere, his intensity is inversely related to the square of the distance. However, if by incorporating an additional spatial dimension, gravity is no longer restricted to the sphere. However, it extends to the hypersphere and diminish in a cubic manner. Nevertheless, owing to the presence of anti-God geometries, this attracting force does not considerably increase the distance. Frontal region, the two external brains, delineate the extent of the distortion. It also offers opportunity for investigating the fourth dimension. Sufficient space, the precision of this model validates the film. The rationality of the result, return to Earth. Murphy succeeds Professor Brand. Persist in the examination of attracting forces. His objective is to determine the answer to the problem. Additionally, elucidate the characteristics of the field. To elucidate the oddities found on Earth. Despite the professor's model initially, it appeared really promising. No definitive answer has been provided. Have you finally come to a realization? Professors are already aware of the essential information required. However, it remained undisclosed. They must comprehend the quantum characteristics of the attraction force. To finalize the model, he needed to ascertain the solution. Gravitational force intersects with quantum physics. What will transpire? This necessitates delving into the proximity of the black hole's origin. This was his father, Joseph. Cooper traverses another galaxy. What actions are taken when crossing the star? When Cooper escaped from endurance and entered the realm of black holes, he can conquer the globe. Is survival possible without entrapment? During the 1960s, science typically posits that the origin of a black hole is a singular place. Nonetheless, by the 1970s, researchers have acknowledged that these initial points assume a chaotic, convoluted configuration. 1990s, these disordered initial conditions are referred to as BT beginning points. Staff uncovered when matter descends into a black hole owing to the temporal dilation affect relative dynamics of descending matter. It appears to decelerate and continue to accumulate, ultimately establish a substantial foundational point. Circa 2010, researchers have ascertained that ancient black holes experience a novel inception accumulated from the preceding material. This new commencement is rather moderate. The resultant tidal power is feeble. Consequently, it is theoretically feasible to endure in this environment. However, to prevent being surpassed by an alternative beginning point must plunge into a black hole at nearly the speed of light. Ronnie Lee in the film Interstellar, Cooper's counsel is formally grounded in this. Ancient Gargantua, within a dark hole lies a tranquil origin. Amber may endure by diving at elevated velocities. Despite the director, Nolan employs an enigmatic technique. The equation delineates this potentiality. Cooper effectively accelerates sufficiently to reach the starting place and endured while the exact nature of the core of a black hole remains uncertain. However, throughout the film, we observe requires elucidation through the theory of quantum attractive forces. Nolan concept upon Cooper's arrival at the starting spot, he was conveyed to a four-dimensional entity. It is referred to as the hypercube. He is presumed to possess an opener. The positioning of superior beings within the cavity. A hypercube is a cube in 4 dimensions. Where each surface is a 3-dimensional cube, it resembles a 3-dimensional cube, with each face being 2-dimensional. Resembling a square, this configuration enables Cooper to access one of the surfaces. ultimately to his daughter Murphy's chamber. It is noteworthy because if the journey appears relatively brief notwithstanding the distance that is due to, the hypercube has been transcending our universe via the previously referenced anti-God geometric principles, substantially reduced the distance upon Kupak arriving at his destination. The hypercube is analogous to the lift to the fourth dimension. It is feasible, due to the illumination can disseminate to the library on the hypercube's surface. The eyes of, however, based on the model of the Nolan camera, light cannot go from Cooper to Murphy. Thus, Cooper was unable to communicate with him directly. Nonetheless, Cooper may leap over objects because to gravity and communicate information. He was motivated by the theory. Within a multidimensional space, gravity can extend across all dimensions. Other fundamental interactions are typically constrained. In the current dimension, consequently, Cooper employs gravitational forces to transmit quantum information to Murphy, supplies the essential information necessary to resolve the equation. Is that the case? He emerged as the architect of the gravitational anomaly. This is Nolan way. This exceptionally creative narrative in the film established regulations. Is it feasible to depend on this data? Master the gravitational control technique. This reduces the gravitational force at the Earth's surface, deploying a substantial space station into orbit, ultimately preserve mankind. The space station operates like a colossal centrifuge, able to execute the requisite calculations for centrifugal force travel to Saturn via the wormhole. In a sequence from the film, a baseball player is striking the ball. The ball traverses the entirety of the space station, ultimately shattered. The upper window examined from within, the ball's trajectory appears to be curved, due to the complete space station translates with the spinning of the centrifuge, while the precise speed of the ball remains unknown. Angle of trajectory, wheel radius, rotational velocity, and more parameters. However, as evidenced by the film, the gravitational force aboard the space station resembles that of Earth. This denotes the rotational velocity of the space station. It must be precise. This gravity has been produced. Concurrently, we observe subsequent to the baseball's trajectory lasting 4.6 seconds in the scene shatter the window examination via bamboo implements and juxtapose it with the dimensions of the players. The speed can be approximated. We estimate the velocity of the baseball to be per second, 30 meters below the threshold of this data. The radius of the space station's wheels is approximately 50 meters. The diameter measures approximately 100 meters. The circumference measures approximately 310 meters. At this dimension, the space station rotates at a frequency of 4 revolutions per minute, can produce gravitational force with the Earth comparable artificial gravity, despite being a rather modest sight. However, by juxtaposing it with the dimensions of the structure, alternatively, employ different techniques for speculation. The trajectory of a baseball can be inaccurately assessed. Obtain markedly disparate outcomes occasionally. An inaccuracy of up to 1 kilometer. These computations and dimensional assessments mirrors the innovative cognition of a relativistic specialist. Interstellar, alongside breathtaking visual effects and stringent genuine scientific inquiry, providing an impactful experience to the audience. By means of these computations, we can enhance our appreciation of films. Meticulousness in scenario composition. Furthermore, the investigation of concealed issues in the film. Star Trek crew member commenced the audacious endeavor of locating a new habitat for humans. They traverse a wormhole adjacent to Saturn. Identifying appropriate planets for habitation. Wormholes are utilized for distant travel. The theoretical perspective on interstellar space is remarkable. However, they currently exist solely in theory. Consequently, this article we shall examine the latest developments, the viability of conventional interstellar travel technologies. Additionally, examine the principal problems it encounters. Initiate NASA's launch using a robust Delta IV Heavy rocket. Parker Solar Probe. This endeavor seeks to reveal our closest star, the enigma of the Sun. Parker Solar Probe. The probes symbolize human endeavors in space exploration. Apex of exertion as he traverses close to the solar surface, achieved an extraordinary velocity of 635,000 kilometers per second, achieved the status of the fastest man-made object ever constructed. This velocity is adequate for him to attain results in a brief period. It completes 1 orbit around the Earth in 3.7 minutes. Indicates that we are presently traversing through space constraints regarding, however, Upon closer examination, significant distance, the magnitude of the issue becomes evident. Presuming the utilization of the most advanced technology presently accessible, the velocity of the JPAC solar probe journey to the nearest star system, to the Sun Proxima Centauri, requires approximately 7,197 years to be reached. This adventure will encompass roughly 100 generations. This signifies that the initial navigators and numerous following generations will experience life and death along the journey. They were left with no alternatives. The notion of a generation of starships provokes significant ethical inquiries. Is it feasible to locate an individual who is prepared to dedicate themselves, and there the existence of subsequent generations committed to they are eternal volunteers for unproductive tasks? The intrigue surrounding the colonization of Mars indicates that humans are prepared to embark on an innovative new frontier. A unilateral expedition in support of a significant cause. This allure may suffice to incite motivation. Volunteers embark on a significant interstellar journey. Upon the emergence of a generation of starships, upon arriving in the core galaxy of the alpha coefficient, the crew confronts two possible possibilities. One must ascertain that the planets inside the system are incapable of sustaining life. This underscores the significance of space exploration. Insights from uncertainty. Another option is technological progress on Earth has facilitated human exploration and colonization. Inhabitants of the galaxy transforms. The previously revolutionary Interstellar, the spacecraft transformed into a vestige of a past epoch. This dichotomy is exclusively convex. The intrinsic hazards of interstellar travel and ambiguity. It also signifies human intellect and the array of stars compose a pursuit approaching the closest stellar system to our own. The significant challenge presents a significant inquiry. Is it feasible for humans to evolve into a spacefaring civilization? To address this inquiry, we must first comprehend the concept of interstellar travel and movement among stars within the same galaxy. Expedition through the Milky Way demonstrates our offerings. The formidable expanse, however, in relation to the enormity of interstellar space, within these intervals the closest significant galaxy to our own Andromeda galaxy, approximately 2.50 million light-years distant. The Milky Way has a diameter of around 100,000 light-years. From this vantage point, the difficulties of interstellar travel are evident. Comprehensive, it would span around 25 galaxies in length. Aptitude extending the distance between us and the Andromeda galaxy, utilizing our current technology, traversing to another galaxy, is virtually unattainable. This unequivocally demonstrates that we have transitioned from interstellar exploration evolves into interstellar. The substantial advancement necessary for exploration, even within our galaxy journey, it is a demanding task. Emphasizing the enormity of the Milky Way galaxy. To genuinely comprehend the magnitude of the Milky Way, to comprehend the location of our solar system within it, essential the solar system situated away from the core of the Milky Way, approximately 27,000 light-years distant per hour, 828,000 kilometers per second with relation to silver. Rotation of the galactic center. This velocity is remarkable. However, our solar system execute a full revolution around the galactic center. Approximately 230 million years are required. This period is referred to as the galactic year. This temporal scale is remarkable. Contextualize it within the framework of Earth's history. The Triassic epoch signifies the advent of dinosaurs. Approximately 65 to 69 million years ago, dinosaurs resemble organisms such as Tyrannosaurus dinosaur inhabited the planet. In relation to a galactic year, the presence of the most formidable underdog on the planet, emphasizing the enormity of the Milky Way, the ephemeral quality of cosmic space, exhibits the remarkable disparity and magnitude of the universe's existence, the architecture of our galaxy, the stellar density. It has significantly influenced the gender dynamics of space travel. The mass is located near the galactic core. Stars possess significant density. Certain locations are merely a light-year distant. This density indicates that the nocturnal firmament in certain locations will contain more than what has been observed on Earth. More luminous stars, conversely, in the furthest regions of the galaxy, stars are more rare. Highlights the solitude of voidness, typically two celestial bodies in our galaxy. The separation between the stars is approximately 5 light-years. Utilizing our most advanced technology, the velocity of the Parker Solar Probe, approximately 177 kilometers per second, traveling through the Wu light year requires approximately 8,474 years. Approximately 20,000 prospective destinations exist within the cosmos. Each is separated by a distance of 5 light years. The duration required to traverse these distances we are about to obtain an extraordinary figure. Our detector requires roughly 169.49,279 years. To traverse the complete galaxy, this does not even take into account exploration. The duration necessary to halt or alter direction, it is merely a linear progression over time. The significant challenge of interstellar travel, it underscores our association with the recent constant, the immense expanse separating stars. Furthermore, those remote elevations this underscores, for example, to achieve our aspiration of becoming a spacefaring society, there is an imperative necessity to progress technology. Energy creation and comprehension of space-time itself achieve a significant advancement. NASA simulations conducted by JPL indicate that the deployment is devoid of imagination. A cohort of spaceships that accelerates technological advancement traveling at 500 kilometers per second, it may require around 90 million years to establish colonies throughout a significant portion of the cosmos. The notion of the Lehman detector established a more intriguing colonial route during the initial phases of exploration and colonization. It is a trajectory that is independent of human navigation. These hypothetical self-replications energy of spacecraft dispatched to remote stellar systems directly there. They will reproduce utilizing local resources. National Aeronautics and Space Administration elementary simulations at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory demonstrate at a velocity of 500 kilometers per second advanced spacecraft colonization may require a duration of 90 million years. The complete galaxy. This situation compels us to confront the enigma of Felipe's hypothesis. A query: what is the significance of possessing a contract? 400 billion stars, approximately an equivalent quantity of planets, exists in the Milky Way. We have not yet observed evidence of extraterrestrial civilization, particularly given that certain cultures may possess, in comparison to our society, millions or potentially billions of years prior. These bodies of water, large numerals, and the unresolved enigmas of Fermat's theorem please provide a reminder. Notwithstanding our aspirations of becoming into a spacefaring civilization, we are progressing towards that objective. The prospect of interplanetary travel remains inaccessible at this juncture. He remains an inspiration that motivates us to persevere, strive to comprehend, and ultimately traverse this expanse. The aspiration for a tranquil and expansive cosmos. If this glimpse into humanity's future among the stars inspired you, don't forget to like this video, share it with fellow space enthusiasts, and subscribe to Galactic Discovery's quest. Together, let's keep exploring the cosmos and uncovering the mysteries of our universe. Stay tuned for more. Thanks you. See you next video.